Hello, 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 and welcome to the Crew Podcast. I am the visionary Queen Angela, and welcome to Season 2. I want to thank you for tuning in and for all of your support throughout Season 1. We're back, them divas of the airwaves. So thank you for joining us tonight. Share this with someone in your circle.
Let's talk about it with your host, Shanette Johnson. Join me. Hi, good evening, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm your host, Shanette Johnson. On tonight, we're going to continue talking to Juan about his wrongful conviction. He was wrongfully convicted in 2009, as well as I'll be talking to his son, one of his sons, Juan Jr., who is currently incarcerated. So, and also I will have a close friend, Rodney Long, will also give insight on the wrongful conviction that Juan is currently fighting. So let's sit back, get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk. Juan Jr. and Senior, welcome to Let's Talk About It. How you guys are doing this evening? Um, um, Juan Senior, switch phones with Juan Jr. I can't hear him.
Hold
And hello, Mr. Rodney.
Hey,
How are you?
how's everybody doing?
We're doing good over here. Um, am I talking to Juan Jr. now?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty fine. How are you doing today? Thanks for having me on this podcast today.
You are very welcome. So I just have a couple of questions for you on this evening, and I thank you and I appreciate you for allowing me to ask you these questions.
Of course, of course.
It's just going to be basically three questions. Um, I understand that you was 4 years old when your father was charged with this wrongful conviction. And I just wanted to know at what age was you when you realized or when you really understood your father's sentence and um how did you feel about it?
Well, when I found out about my father's sentence, I wasn't like a little baby then. I was like around like 14, 15. I started hearing things from family members telling me this and telling me that. But, I never really heard it from my mother and things. So I never really asked him what he was in there for. So, I was just, when I got a little older, I ended up finding out. And it troubled me a lot, I was, going down the wrong path because I didn't have a father figure in my life because, the situation the circumstance that he was in. But, I try to, survive, like, because my father was there to provide for me and my mother, my sister. So, I had to, had to provide for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So you would say that that was not having your father there was hard on you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, of course. It was hard.
Okay. I also have Rod on the phone with me. Rod is in studio with me. And Rod, do you have any questions that you want to ask Juan Jr.?
Yeah, first of all, I want to know how he's doing.
Can you hear
I'm
him?
doing pretty good, you know. Yeah, I can hear him. I'm doing pretty good, just holding my head, trying to, get through with my time.
That's good. That's good.
How you
My
doing?
main thing is to tell him put God first in his life. That's what's very,
Of
very
course.
important on what he's going through.
Okay. And so this is going to be my last question for you, and then I would like to speak back to Juan Senior.
Of course.
How did you feel when you seen your dad this time?
I mean, I was a little emotional. I didn't know what to think at first, but then, I was happy to see him because, at least in person, give him a hug and talk to him on, different kind of basis other than on the jail phones. Like it was, it was a tough time at first, but just being with him and talking to him, it helped me out a little bit more.
Okay.
Going at least get through what I'm gonna have to go through.
So you're in my prayers, and I'm praying for you. You're going to get through this. If you need to talk, where I'm always here to talk. I'm a good listener, you know. So I really appreciate your time and talking to me. And I look forward to meeting you in person.
All
So
right, thank you. Look forward to meeting you as well. Yeah. Hello.
hello, Juan Senior. Now I have Juan Senior on the phone with me.
Well,
We're going to continue talking about the wrongful conviction that he's currently fighting. Last time we talked about how when they picked the jury, how the protest was out there. Then we also talked about the um, the charging documents and the felony law statute. So this time, I just wanted to give the floor to Rodney Long and to give a little insight of how it is in Denver with the law.
Well, I think the law in Denver is like all these cities. We have no justice. I got an attorney for Day Day to look over his case. And once that attorney looked up over the case, he seen that it went through three different judges. And it was like he was scared to represent Juan because of exactly what he might go through with his law firm. So when I asked him about the question that Juan always asked me, how he could be charged with this because the murder was dropped, none of them could ever answer that question. And so that's something that I'm very puzzled because no attorney can answer the question that I asked them. Oh, God, I can't hear you.
What was the questions that you basically have brung up to the attorneys?
The one with the murder, they said he was not guilty of the murder. So, like what Juan would say, if he's not guilty of the murder, how did they have him on a murder charge? And how did they give him life in prison if he didn't kill nobody?
Right. And then also they we touched a little on the where you had to have a underlying offense to go to get predicate to get the felony murder statute, and which in Juan's case it's not one. It was just mentioned that um robbery that the word robbery was mentioned. And but it's nowhere in the charging documents that that they charged him with a underlying predicate offense. And every time he used their law against them, they shoot it down. So right now, Juan, do you have would you like to jump in this conversation?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that's been helping me with my case law too. That's real familiar with the law, and I would like to introduce him also, where because he has a better understanding. Because I'm just now learning what it is because I'm in here on that charge. And his name is Glenn Kemp. Uh, but we go over. He teaches me a lot of the things about this law, and it said that I have to be convicted of the predicate offense in order for them to convict me of felony murder. They never did that because they never gave a jury a verdict form for the crime of robbery as they alleged that happened. All they did was mention the word robbery, but that's not appropriate or for the law. It's not law. You can't just mention something and convict me of it. It's illegal. Because how do I defend against something that's not there?
Right. And then also, which robbery did they say was, which alleged robbery was it? Which?
Okay. In trial, they alleged that an aggravated robbery had happened. But at the end of trial, when they gave the jury instructions, they gave them an instruction on simple robbery, which is two different robberies on the books.
But in your charging documents, I read the jury instruction when the when the judge mentioned the witness name and not the victim's name. And in your charging documents, it doesn't even have the witness name, it has the victim's name in it. So was that an oversight or misprint or what? Because you in your okay. I can't hear I can't.
You can't hear him?
No, I can't hear him. I need him to come.
Johnson, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. It seems that the whole problem with Juan's conviction is that to establish that he committed or attempted to commit a predicate offense, the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt every element of that defense, of that offense. Now, in his charging document, they mentioned the word robbery. They alleged that he committed or attempted to commit robbery. But in felony murder or any other charge, they didn't set out the elements of his crime so that he could provide a defense against those elements. They didn't set elements for simple robbery until at the deliberation stage of the trial. And that's the first time that the elements for robbery were ever presented when the jury was getting ready to go into deliberation. Now, to establish that he committed or attempted to commit it, they had to prove those elements, but those elements can't stand alone in a charge of robbery by itself. They had to be set inside of another charge, or else the robbery conviction, the robbery charge had to be dismissed. In his case, there was never a robbery charge,
Right.
And
right.
That's what the real, and there were no verdict forms given for the jury to deliberate on a robbery conviction. So actually, what the court did was to say that because they convicted him of felony murder, that was proof that the elements of the simple robbery was proven. But there were no verdict forms presented to the jury to make a determination of guilt or innocence on a robbery charge. So, in essence, he was charged 2 times for first-degree murder after he had been acquitted of murder in the first degree. What they did without proving a predicate offense, they charged him again for first-degree murder without proving the only thing that was different between first-degree murder and felony murder, which was that he committed or attempted to commit a predicate offense.
But it's no predicate offense. He was never charged, right, and he was never given a chance to defend against the alleged robbery, as they say. And then they have the witness and the jury verdict in a when the judge in the instruction, the jury instruction, they have the witness name and not the victim's name. And then in the charging document, they have the victim's name and not the witness name, and they also don't have a predicate offense. So, you know, how can this conviction stand, or why wasn't he able to walk out the courthouse when it was when they did not find him guilty of the murder?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is that name, you know, they could claim that was a typographical error. But the bottom line is that they didn't charge him with a robbery. And robbery must, underlying predicate offense must be proven by a jury, to a jury. When they convicted him of felony murder, they actually invaded the progress of the jury and made a determination themselves that he was guilty of felony murder without proven to the jury that he committed an underlying predicate offense. They didn't do that, and that's the reason why his conviction is no good. You know, even his double jeopardy claim, that's the reason why he's claimed double jeopardy, is because they acquitted him of murder, and then they came along again and charged him with felony murder under the guise of an underlying predicate offense, when the victim actually said in the transcript that Juan did not attempt to take anything of value from him at all. And so that's the problem with this conviction, is that they didn't charge and convict him of felony murder. They didn't charge and convict him, or they convicted him of felony murder, but they didn't charge and convict him of an underlying predicate offense. And that has to happen in order to find someone guilty of felony murder.
Okay, so we have a question up. So what can be done now, since we know all this about his case? What can be done? And I will give that question to either Rod or Rod. They ran out of time. So maybe you can answer that question. What can be done since we know all of this about his case?
We have to find an attorney that has balls. The attorney that I see don't have no balls, and they're scared to fight the justice system. So we have to have a attorney who's not scared to fight justice for Day. So far, we have not found anyone to take the risk to fight for his cause when he was convicted of something he did not do. So that's where our hands is tied. We have not been able to find an attorney who will fight his case.
Okay, so it's all about money.
It's basically all about money.
If if they can find you, they can convict you of something you didn't do, and you serve all this time, all because you don't have the money
to fight it.
to pay a high priced lawyer to get you out of something that you didn't even you wasn't even involved in. And
Right.
and it's crazy how black men has to fight for, that's convicted and had to fight to come out.
Yeah, that's
I apologize. I got so much. They calling me back and everything.
okay.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, that's what's going on. I do apologize to the viewers as well because they're calling me back. Juan. Okay. So we was just talking about what needs to be done. What needs to be done? Me and Rod, we was just talking about that. Well, Rod, I guess they having some issues with the phones line over there.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I can hear you. Yours is real low, Kemp, but I can hear Juan. Go ahead, Juan.
Nah, you gotta talk louder. I can't hear.
Well, Shanette dropped off. I don't know what's going on with her device,
Okay.
but she's back.
I
There
am
she
so
is.
sorry. Yes, I'm having a little problem, little technical over here on this side.
Yes, this is Glenn.
Okay, go ahead. The question was what needs to be done now since we know this is going on with his case.
Well, the thing that you're doing, is a great thing, and trying to get, involvement, from the public. Juan has filed several different, briefs and whatever in the courts. And this is one thing that the court, fails to acknowledge is that there was no underlying predicate offense. It's plain, and simple that just to give the element means nothing if you don't prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that an underlying predicate offense happened. And if you don't give the jury verdict forms to make a determination as to, to make a determination of guilt or innocence, about it, then there really was no charge. Yeah.
Okay.
And in my opinion, that's what the whole problem is. If we can't get outside help, so to speak, in terms of the direction that we need to go in, next, then there's not a whole lot, that we can do. And so, we've researched it through and through, and the felony murder statute doesn't say that you can find a guy guilty and take his life by an inference of guilt. The felony murder statute says that you have to prove the underlying predicate offense to file felony murder against someone. 4-4. Yeah.
Right.
And so that's what the court's not acknowledging, that this wasn't done here.
Right, because he was never charged with that predicate offense. Just like we went over cases, the Almond case, and the Doubleday case, where they was charged with a predicate offense, but it was also set aside. Can
Well,
go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. It was set aside. It was set aside because they didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt to the jury that they committed that predicate offense. But they did charge it in those cases, in Doubleday versus people, you know, and Almond versus people. They did charge them with those predicate offenses, and the juries, and they did not prove the elements of those offenses to the jury. In Juan's case, they didn't charge those elements. They didn't charge him with robbery or any other underlying predicate offense listed in the felony murder statute. And so without them charging him, then there's no way that you can convict him for felony murder by inference. It has to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt.
But how did, once again, the question is going to remain, how did they get a conviction without the underlying predicate offense? And, until a lawyer, as Rod say, get some balls and want to fight the system, then we're going to constantly see Black men and Black women, brown men and brown women, in a sense, going in and out the system behind this. Really, to me, it's like a money thing. That's if you got the money, you can get off. If you don't got it, well, we just gonna give you life without the possibility, and you just gonna have to fight to get out. It's too much. We heard from Juan Jr. tonight how the effect of his father being incarcerated on a wrongful conviction, how that
this is a prepaid collect call.
How that went against him, his life, affected his life. Sorry about that. I just got so much going on. But we have to stand up, people. We have to pay. We have to stand up. We have to stand up. If we don't stand up, if we don't speak up, it's going to continuously happen.
Yeah.
It's going to continuously happen. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
Well, all we can really try to do is stay in the fight. A man, an innocent man, should never stop fighting, no matter what, to try to regain his freedom. And I have to commend Juan for that, because he's never gave up the fight. He's just, trying to get someone to hear him, trying to get, someone to assist him, and giving him a direction to go in, so to speak. It's one of the things that's kind of hampering, his progress. And so, the court is not much on hearing a pro se litigant, someone that's trying to fight for himself in this kind of situation. And it's sad, but it's true. That's what we face when we file, in the current judicial system. And so the only thing we can do is to keep trying, and at some point, they say nothing beats a failure but a try. But at some point, things, will change. And that point, I don't know. I just believe that there's a measure of time on all things. And as long as you keep, striving to, to keep the truth out there, things will change.
But I mean, it's like you can only do so much. You can only do so much.
It sounds like your other line is ringing there. Juan is trying to, get back on the line.
I don't know what's going on this end. I will need him probably to jump on the phone that you have real quick.
Okay. All right.
Rod, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, my main thing is very confusing where you can show the law says it all, and they're not taking that under consideration. I see this all the time. Juan ain't the only one going through this bullshit. And it seems like we as minorities just don't have no one that'll fight for us. And that's our biggest problem. No one takes our cases serious, not unless you have money. If you have money, Juan wouldn't even be in there. He'd have been out a long time ago. But when you don't have that money to fight, it's like nobody even takes you serious. They could care less what you're trying to fight for.
Yes. Juan, do you have anything to say before I give my closing remarks?
All right. Here he is here.
Hello?
Hello.
Do you have anything to say before I give my closing remarks? It's a question, it's a statement up right now. It says it's just another form of slavery. Rob, would you like to say anything on that one?
Well, what she just said is very true. Nothing changed in 400 years. It's the same. They just got a different way of showing it. Jail is a slavery. You get paid $25 in 2 months. You know, it's slavery. They just got a different way they're doing it. And we don't have no one to fight for us. They know that. That's been going over for 400 years and probably do another 400 years if we don't stand up and fight for each other. So far, if a person's not in Juan's position, no one cares. They don't listen to your fight. They don't listen to your paperwork. The law can say one thing and they don't even go by what the law says. Not when you're a minority.
Right.
And that's what's unfair.
Juan, do you have anything to say?
I just want to say that, with all the things that's been going on with my case, the things that I've learned over studying and doing my research is that I come with the law to the courts. I come with my petitions to the court to ask them to right this wrong. And they keep telling me, because I'm pro se, meaning I have to do it myself because they've denied me legal representation. But they treat me as if I'm a professional attorney and telling me that I should have brought up these claims in the very beginning. But I'm saying that how can I bring it up if, for one, you don't want to give me the transcripts at the time when I need them, or you telling me I'm procedurally barred or successive, meaning that you don't answer none of my questions or none of my issues, but yet you would tell me that I'm time barred or it's excessive because it wasn't brought up in my direct appeal when I had a public defender, appeals public defender at the time, and she did not bring up none of these issues. And so now they've been giving me the runaround all this time for the last, almost 10 years. And still refuse to give me any type of relief.
Wow. Wow. Well, they're gonna hear you one sooner or later. I just have one question. I meant to ask you this a little earlier when I had Juan Jr. on here. Well, it's A and B.
Okay.
The first part of it is, how did you feel when you learned that Juan Jr. was incarcerated? And the second part is, how did you feel seeing him there?
Okay, that's a good question. The first one, it hurted me because I felt like I failed because for one I wasn't there to raise it, because had I been there, none of this would have happened.
he followed my footsteps. Like you said, I was a truck driver, and also I own my own barbecue stand. And that's what he would have been a part of. But by me not being there and being wrongfully accused and wrongfully convicted, it took me out of the house or out of the home raising him. And so by that going on, knowing that he has to defend for himself now, it caused him to go out to the streets and hustle and do whatever he had to do to make ends meet. He was a juvenile, so I mean, just knowing like when I was there, he didn't need for anything because I provided that. But when they took me out the home, it left him to defend for himself because as I was growing up, I didn't have a father either, so I was out in the streets. So I know exactly what he was going through, just to have what he wanted, and his mother not being able to provide it for him at that moment in time, just because it was rough, not having enough, and
Right.
so that caused him to go out to the streets.
So this is the
And
legacy.
it hurts, and just seeing him when he comes through here, I mean, right here sitting next to me in the same pod with me right now, it has an effect. It hurts, just to have my son here because we're not supposed to be here. But with the system, this is what they do to us as African Americans, and it goes on all over. A repeated cycle.
Right. Well, thank you, Juan Jr. and Senior, and Glenn and Rob for joining me this evening on Let's Talk About It. Thank you for joining me for another episode as well. I will be back here for a bonus show next Monday. I will have in studio will be the queen of collaboration of the podcast, the visionary, Miss Angela Thompson will be joining me. Also, Cornell will be joining me. We will be talking about the Free Texas campaign. What's going on over there in the Texas prison system and how they treat the men over there. So you can catch me on the first and third Mondays of every month. But next Monday at the same time, I will be having a bonus. So thank you guys very much for joining me here. It's been a crazy little 45 minutes, but I enjoyed my time talking to these men and getting the message out. Remember to always use your voice to speak up and speak out, even if your voice is shaky. Good night and enjoy your week. Thank you, guys. Let's talk about it with your host, Shanette Johnson. Join me every first and third Monday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And let's talk about it.